This race is fantastic. I love this race. I wish I'd raced it more.
Well, it's very, very special. This is where Ironman Australia was where it all started for me. It was my first taste of doing an Ironman, and it was my first introduction to Ironman racing, and it's where I fell in love with it.
Ironman Australia, since its inception at Foster and now at Port Macquarie, is still, as an Australian, the race to win. Chris McCormack inscribed his name 5 times. Jason Shortis has been here 1,678 times, and trying to get his name on the trophy. And I would love dearly to get my name on the trophy as not just Australian champion, but the winner of Ironman Australia.
It's a high priority as an Australian to win this race. It's got such great history. It's one of the longest running Ironman races in the world, and it's had such history of such great athletes winning this race before that it's really important to win this race and have that on my resume.
Almost midway between the cities of Sydney and Brisbane sits the coastal town of Port Macquarie, sited on a beautiful stretch of coastline framed by the Hastings River and the Great Dividing Range. It's a favoured holiday destination because of its many attractions, from the surf to the forests. But for Australian triathletes, it's the home of our greatest race. They've come from all over Australia and from around the world to take part in the 26th running of the Urban Hotel Group Ironman Australia. Most of them come with a simple purpose: to finish in the world's most gruelling one-day event. A 3.8 kilometre swim, a 180 kilometre bike and a full marathon run. Among the ordinary folk trying to achieve the extraordinary are a select field of some of the fittest and fastest athletes on the planet. The headline act was to have been 2-time world Ironman champion Craig Alexander, but at the last minute he was forced to withdraw.
Unfortunately, I picked up a viral infection about 3 weeks ago, and it's laid me low. I haven't been able to train, and I think I'm coming through the other side of it now, but obviously in close consultation with my wife and also my doctor, the smart decision was not to race.
Although a small elite field, among them were some very accomplished athletes. 4-time Australian Ironman champion Patrick Verney from Noumea was looking for 5 in a row.
I came here to win for a 5th time, but I know it would be difficult. I come here to get points for the Kona Pro ranking, and that's why if I finish second, it will be okay. But of course, the first place should be the best.
Sydney's Pete Jacobs, an Australian long course champion, was seeking his first Ironman win.
I've been coming here for a long time. Even before the Ironman was here, there was the Australian Long Course Championships, and I love the area, and I've had some really great races here in the Ironman and the Australian Long Course Champs.
With a win in Ironman Western Australia, Courtney Ogden comes with confidence that he can now upset the more fancied competitors.
I guess it's probably given me some, a little bit more confidence that I can, under the right circumstances, compete with, the best in the sport.
He's one of the older elite athletes, but Jason Shortis arrives with great credentials and 5 Ironman victories around the world to his credit.
Well, the beauty about Ironman Australia for me is that I have nothing to lose. I've come here and I've proven what I'm capable of at Ironman Australia previously, and in other races. So I don't have anything to prove at all. I'm actually really excited that I get another chance to race Ironman Australia.
For all these athletes, the longest day in sport begins before dawn. It's a nervous time because the day ahead carries with it the burden of uncertainty over 226 kilometres. None know that better than 61-year-old Dave Ross, a schoolteacher who's completed every single Ironman Australia, all 25 of them.
I only wish I didn't know as much as I do. In other words, ignorance is bliss. I know it's ahead and it's going to be very painful. These other guys, they just don't know what they're in for.
As one of the oldest competitors and starting in this event for the 16th time, Canberra's Ken Murtagh keeps on keeping on at 71. And then there's Kane Towns, half his age and a first-timer, starting with a very special motivation. In Australian triathlon, Ched Towns' feats became legendary. Despite falling blind as an adult, he managed to finish many Ironman events, including Hawaii. He paddled the Torres Straits in a kayak, cycled the Simpson Desert, and crossed the Kokoda Track. Tragically, he died 10 years ago preparing for an attempt on Mount Everest. He inspired those around him, including his son Kane.
Just having him there all the time, he was the drive, he was the motivation. He just made it fun he made everything that he done seem fun.
Although he'd done triathlons when Ched was alive, Kane Towns lost interest when his father passed away. That interest was only rekindled last year by his mates, and he started training again.
I'm about 20 kilos lighter. Yeah, that's probably the biggest difference, and I feel fit as a fiddle. I can't wait for the gun to go off and for all this preparation and you know, effort to pay off.
The Australian Ironman is Kane's first attempt at this distance. Spurring him on is a little tattoo he'd like to get, just like his dad.
I remember when he came home from doing Hawaii, he came home with the M. tattoo on his foot. And I was only young then, and I said to him, I'm going to get that. And he goes, you just don't get that, you've got to earn it. And the only way you can earn it is obviously doing Hawaii. So this is probably, by doing my first Ironman, once I'm down the track, I want to eventually get to Hawaii and earn that tattoo.
Ched Towns' ashes were spread by his family on the Nepean River, close to their family home. Kane doesn't know if he will be able to emulate his father this year and become an Hawaiian Ironman finisher. But whatever happens, he knows it'll remain a goal. And there can be no doubt, Ched would have been proud. In memory of his father, Kane will wear his 15-year-old steamer suit instead of a modern tri-suit in the swim. Will use his father's old disc wheels on his bike and will run with the tether his father used to connect him to his guide. It'll be an emotional day. There are more than 1,000 of them shuffling down the boat ramp to swim out to the start in the Hastings River. But in this crowd, each is alone. Ironman is a solitary endeavour. Rather than a race against others, it's a race against yourself. Just you and the course. A test of the mind. For every one of them, there's uncertainty. So much can go wrong. And despite months and even years of preparation, getting to the finish is never guaranteed. But that remains the goal. Simply to finish. The dark waters of the Hastings River, transformed by a seething mob, each trying to find their own piece of water to avoid being kicked in the face or punched in the head. The professionals have a slight advantage starting ahead of the pack, but each is playing his or her own game, trying to settle into the day. For Courtney Ogden, the swim is not a strength.
Swim league for me is always play out from the start. The faster guys like Pete Jacobs and Patrick's always at the front in the swim. You know, they'll try and get away at the start, and you just got to go really hard and try and hang on.
It's a similar story for Jason Shortis. Just hang in there for this bit.
I need to be in touch out of the water. That's the key here, and always has been at Ironman Australia. You need to be in touch with the leaders out of the water. You don't necessarily need to be in the lead pack, but you need to be in one of the lead packs, one of the 2 or 3 lead packs. And that's probably been an area of my racing here at Ironman Australia that hasn't been up to scratch. That's really important. You can't win the race in the swim, but you can certainly lose it in the swim.
Not far from the lead men is the first woman, 27-year-old Amelia Pearson from Tasmania, who is emerging as a contender in Ironman.
I like the swim. I guess it's something where it's only 10% of the day, so it's not a major thing if things don't go specifically to plan. But yeah, getting through the swim nice and relaxed and not using up too much energy to come out onto the bike.
In the men's race, four-time winner Patrick Vinay is near the front, but streaking away from everyone is Pete Jacobs. No one can stay with him.
At the start of the swim, I stuck to my plan and just went hard and got a break up really early, and my swimming's been going really well, so I found it quite easy to get that break and drop them off my feet, and then just kept extending that gap and swimming pretty much solid the entire way for the 3.8 Ks.
The swim leg of an Ironman is just the prelude, and now the lead athletes are about to get down to the real business with a 180-kilometre bike leg. In front, it's Pete Jacobs with a commanding lead. At the age of 29, Pete Jacobs is considered an experienced campaigner in Ironman. He's been a runner-up in Ironman Australia, and last year recorded a third-place finish in Ironman WA, along with the third fastest marathon time ever in Hawaii, 2 hours 41.
Personally, to me, it means that my technique has got to a level that I can replicate that again and again. And hopefully it means I've got to have a lot more consistency in my future races, but also just it gave me a lot of confidence in my training.
In Ironman, there are few people who can swim faster than Pete Jacobs. The other competitors always expect to trail him out of the water.
By halfway, I hope to have a bit of a break, and as I turn the buoys, I'll look over my shoulder and hopefully they're not too close, and just try and stretch that gap out. The faster I can swim and the more I can stretch out the other guys, then they're more spread out as well, so they won't be able to work with each other as well. So I'll just try and keep stretching that line out all the time in the swim.
Pete comes from an athletic family. His brother Tim is one of the foremost ocean paddlers in the world, and around the dinner table there's been the occasional ribbing about who is doing better financially in their sport.
He's always done very well as a ski paddler, despite still being a full-time carpenter. So I always got hassled a bit that he was actually making some good prize money while working full-time.
With his speed in the swim and now also on the run, many have considered Pete the Australian most likely to succeed next. The big question everyone is wondering, Pete included, is when that will happen.
I've been competing a long time and never actually won an Ironman, so I'm hoping that that breakthrough does happen on Sunday here in Ironman Australia. But if it doesn't, I know it will eventually. It's just a matter of peaking and training for the correct race at the right time.
Pete Jacobs, everybody! Wow, look at the smile on his face!
So far, so good. A smiling Jacobs has set the pace all the way and now is about to emerge with a 3-minute lead.
I couldn't believe, as I went into transition, how good my legs felt. They just, normally when you get out of the swim, all the blood's in your arms and your legs don't work, but my legs felt great, and just floated through transition and got on the bike and just felt good and continued it on from there.
Behind him, the chase group includes Adam Holbrow and Scott Naedley, with Patrick Vinay just a little behind. Also having a great swim was Tasmania's Amelia Pearson, just 3.5 minutes down on Pete Jacobs. However, the person she was most concerned about was Swiss competitor Carolyn Steffen, who was almost 1 minute back. Steffen was the race favourite and renowned for her capacity on the bike. A 1-minute lead would not seem to be enough to keep her at bay. Early on in the bike-shore bike leg, it's a sorting out time in Ironman. For some, it's a frantic dash for position so they don't lose touch. For others, it's to get into a new rhythm and work into it. Adam Holbrow was second on the road, but was quickly passed by Patrick Vinay. And out in front, Pete Jacobs, who'd been caught early in other races on the bike, was determined to make it harder for his rivals this time.
I was just thinking, let's try and maintain this lead as long as I can, because that's going to be my best opportunity to get off the bike with the leader at least and not be behind the leader. I didn't want to let a few of the other guys into the picture at all.
Back in the field, there was one who was charging, a former winner of Ironman Western Australia, but now an age grouper. Melbourne doctor Mitch Anderson was the wild card in the pack.
My background is exercise science, and I spent a lot of time on a scientific bike called a load bike, which is very good at setting a wattage, and you can just push the wattage for hours and hours. So my schema is to ride exactly the same pace for the entire 180 kilometres. Now you'll see other guys match racing, the lead pros, they'll be trying to drop each other and race each other, whereas because I'm a few minutes back, I'm just riding an even pace. So you'll see that I ride exactly the same pace in the first 90 kilometres as I do in the second lap.
Dr. Anderson reeled in those ahead of him rapidly. Jason Shortus was one of the first to be passed.
I expected Mitch was going to come past me at some stage because he's a very good rider, and I knew that his plan was to go quite hard on the bike and get up to near the leaders. But I didn't expect him to catch me so soon. He had a great swim yesterday, and he came past me really early. He was actually only 30 seconds down on me out of the water. So for him to catch me that early, I didn't even have a chance to settle into a rhythm. And he came past me without, like he was riding a motorbike, and then proceeded for the rest of the day to just wave at me from the front of the group at each of the turnaround points. So that was pretty funny.
Soon after, Holbrow and then Vinay succumbed to the irrepressible doctor. The only rider ahead of him was Jacobs. Out on the Bike Shore bike leg in the Urban Hotel Group Australian Ironman, a strong wind is starting to have an impact. Four-time winner Patrick Vinay would normally maintain 40 kilometres an hour, but is frustrated that into the wind his speed is only about 32. He can't keep up with the Melbourne doctor Mitch Anderson, who's flying. And even though Anderson is the pace setter, he still can't catch that man Jacobs, who seems to be on a mission.
I rode hard and it was into a bit of a headwind and hurled them off at the first turn. I still saw I had a good lead. Back at halfway, I still had the same lead and it was looking really good for me. And so into the headwind on that third quarter, I really put my head down, tried to get as small as I could and just rode hard and thought this is where it'll make or break it. If I don't put the effort in now, I'm going to lose some big time.
Another who is flying is Courtney Ogden, smoking past Adam Holbrow and then race favourite Patrick Vinay up into third. While the elite athletes duke it out up the road, the age groupers are fighting their own battles to finish. After swimming in his father Ched's old steamer suit, Kane Towns heads out on the bike, his father's old disc wheel on the back.
One down, two to go.
Ironman stalwart Ricky Jeffs is used to taking things in his stride. But when you have a flat tyre, even before you get onto your bike, it's hard to take. American Dave Olowski is in no hurry. The 55-year-old says he's not racing, he's participating.
So far, so good.
For him, his connection with Ironman is a little more original than most. Finishing an Ironman race is one of sport's great triumphant moments for every participant. But Ironman finishes weren't always like that, especially for finishers in the first Ironman in Hawaii.
There was nothing. The finish line was just a mark on the sidewalk of where the Honolulu Marathon generally finishes in Waikiki. There was a little mark on the sidewalk and Judy Collins was there recording the times. The daughter was there and there was some lady just standing in the background there. So there's three people. He says, nice job, and they sent you home.
Dave Olowski did his first triathlon 33 years ago. He finished third out of 15 starters that memorable day in Hawaii when Ironman was born.
Didn't have a bike up until the week before, so I borrowed a fellow Marine's bicycle. It was a Sears Free Spirit bike, which I don't know what the equivalent would be here in Australia, but you know, you're like a Target department store type bicycle. There were 3 Marines from my base that were doing it. I said that I would cut off a pair of blue jeans, so I had shorts on at least, and I put money in my pocket so I could stop and you know, hydrate and eat along the route and stuff, basically, because when we went out that day, we were on our own. And so I put on the jeans, no shirt, just a little visor and a pair of tennis shoes, and off I went with money in my pocket to eat at McDonald's, grocery stores, and gas stations.
After 1978, this pioneer triathlete moved away from the sport. Life as a Milwaukee homicide detective and other things got in the way. Now he's back with the aim of participating in Ironman races around the world, despite being diagnosed with leukemia.
I've had some problems in that. Last year I was diagnosed with leukemia and stuff. So obviously my blood isn't the same as everybody else's blood. I always joke with my oncologist. I says, how about a little blood doping to get my red bloods up? I says, we're only leveling the playing field with these people and suck a few white bloods out in that. But I do have the tendency to get ill and stuff pretty regular, and so I try to watch my system, and you know, I just try to get there and do the best I can.
As a prelude to participating in Port Macquarie, Dave Olarski rode with others 1,200 kilometres from Melbourne, raising money for the children's charity, the Kids Foundation. It's a hell of a way to taper for an Ironman.
This is in Australia. He's an absolute means good on you, Ken.
Ken Murtagh is out of the water and ready for the bike. He too adopts the leisurely pace of someone who intends to finish. And when you're 71, you know a thing about pacing yourself. For some, the shortest leg is the most feared. Getting the swim out of the way is the toughest part of the day. The relief they feel is obvious. For the last swimmer out, Jen Williams, her gratitude to those who supported her along the way had to be expressed before she carried on. It's something you may only see in Ironman.
Well done, Jen Williams.
Along with the Ironman race at Port Macquarie, there was a race within a race, the Urban Hotel Group 70.3, to start 3 hours later on the same course. Among the starters were some of the best long course athletes in Australia, including local pro Tim Burkle.
The 70.3 is a cracker field, you know, probably one of the best fields in Australia for a 70.3. You know, you got guys like Joey Gambles, who is, you know, this is his distance. He's, you know, this is his forte, the 70.3s, and you know, you got Cam Brown, the Kiwi guy, who's won Ironman New Zealand 10 times, and then there's a bunch of Aussie guys that, you know, could really, you know, push for the win. There's probably, you know, any one of 6 guys that could be up there for the win. So it's going to be a very, very challenging race.
.3 races may take 4 hours or more to complete, but the pace right from the start was frenetic.
70.3 is almost like a sprint distance for us Ironman athletes. You know, I don't have to think too much about it. I don't really even need to prepare or taper as fastidiously as I would for an Ironman. Obviously for an Ironman, you know, you start your taper 2 weeks out. You basically wrap yourself up in cotton wool and you think about your nutrition leading into the race on race day, whereas a half Ironman's a little bit more relaxed. You can almost get through a half Ironman without even thinking about nutrition. So it's a lot less stressful, put it that way. And really, when I race a 70.3, I race it as soon as that gun goes off, I race it as hard as I can.
The battle for the women's Ironman title seems to be a one-horse race. Swiss athlete Carolyn Steffen is so powerful on the bike, she can push much bigger gears than her opponents, even on the hills. Among the women triathletes of the world, Carolyn Steffen cuts an imposing figure. The tall Swiss athlete is known as the Swiss Miss, or Xena, because on the course, she's like a warrior. She pushes huge gears on the bike and only knows one speed, flat out.
Maybe some people think that's crazy, but it's not. It's just the way how we train. my body's used to going really hard over a long term. So I'm just doing what I'm training, and it's not really a big change. It's just over 9 hours. It's training, it's maybe just over 5 or 6 hours. So I'm just doing what I'm doing in the training.
Before taking up triathlon, Carolyn won numerous Swiss championships in swimming and cycling. Now based in Mooloolaba, she feels very much at home here, chasing an Australian title.
It feels a little bit like a home race. I feel very at home in Australia. And second, to have a win on a full Ironman, it's still a different story than just have a half Ironman win. So I'm really looking forward to this Sunday, and I hope I can realise one of my dreams.
In her first full year as a professional, Carolyn won 2 70.3 races in Asia and was runner-up in full Ironman races in South Africa, Europe and Hawaii. She has many goals, the first being to win an Ironman this year.
I want to win an Ironman and definitely want to be sub 9 hours once this year. And another one is to run a marathon under 3 hours, so I have a lot to do this year, 3 big goals, and I hope I can realise one of them, and will be more than pleased.
The Swiss Miss has established a huge lead over her main rival, Amelia Pearson, getting through the first half of the bike course in just 2 hours 26. Her lead was over 12 minutes.
I know what I'm able to push over 180, so I'm not starting slower and then get faster over 180k. I know I can push the same cadence, the same gear.
In the men's race, Courtney Ogden had been moving up through the field, but suffered 2 punctures, costing him valuable minutes. Patrick Vinay had lost ground to the lead and was 11 minutes down. The fastest bike split was that of Mitch Anderson, who was about 4 minutes behind the leader, Pete Jacobs. Heading back into Port Macquarie, Jacobs was looking very strong. However, the question that remained to be answered was, had he used too much energy in the swim and the bike? Would he pay a price in the marathon to come? In the race within a race, the competitors in the 70.3 are about to head out on the bike. The first group of professional athletes have taken just 23 minutes for the swim, and they have a lead of just over a minute from the race favourites, Joe Gambles, Matt White, Tim Burkle and Cameron Brown.
Here comes Smoking Joe Gambles leading this group out. Matty White, Tim Burkle, there's Cam Brown. Josh Riggs, it looks like, as well.
He led by 3 minutes in the swim. He has extended his lead through the tough bike leg into the wind, and now, heading into the run transition, Pete Jacobs leads his pursuers, Mitch Anderson, by 4 minutes, and Patrick Vinay by 11.
Heading into transition, I was really happy. I knew that I had a good lead over Mitch, and he's not a well-renowned runner at all, and that I had a big time gap over Patrick. I'd gotten a few time gaps while on the bike, so that was a relief that I had a lot of time over Patrick, because I haven't run for a couple of weeks with a foot injury. So I knew I was going to have to hold it together on the run, and that's all I had to do, and I would have the win.
Easier said than done with a marathon to come. And unbeknown to him, the foot injury he's carrying is a stress fracture. A world of pain awaits Pete. After powering through the first lap on the bike in a time that would have beaten all but a few of the men, Carolyn Steffen has run into trouble. She's punctured. It's not a big problem, and she deals with it calmly. But then a few kilometres down the road, the tyre punctures again, more seriously. At first, she thought her race was over, but fortunately, a mechanical aid station was nearby. She took it all in her stride.
No, I wasn't frustrated at all. I reckon that's just a part of our race. It never happened to me before. I was very lucky in the last year, never had a puncture in the race. It was just funny when went to transition this morning, got everything ready. I thought, oh, I never had a puncher before, but if I would have one, today would be a good race, because I knew maybe would have a big lead in the bike, and if I'm losing 5 minutes to change a tyre, it doesn't bother me at all. So, yeah, I shouldn't think like that, maybe. It's bad luck.
The Swiss Miss was able to carry on. She'd lost 5 or 6 minutes, but incredibly, she still had a lead of 11 minutes over Amelia Pearson. Riding in honour of his father, legendary blind athlete Ched Towns, Kane Towns is making good progress in his first Ironman, riding with his father's old disc wheel, a constant reminder of his legacy.
I felt pretty good out of the swim, and then on the bike, obviously his wheels on the bike as well, so the first thing I was hoping is they'd hold up and not get no flat tyres, which was good, they didn't. And heading out of town, out to the turnaround along the flat parts, very windy, and with the disc wheel was blowing me around a bit, especially across the bridges. They had the coloured flags and you could see them flapping like 90 degrees to the side, so had to be a bit careful there. But when we come back coming back into port, it was awesome. Like the disc wheel got wound up coming back with the wind behind you.
Dave Olowski, one of the original 1978 Ironmen, is also having a good day out.
I'm waiting to enjoy that wind going back the other direction.
As he says, just participating. So is Dave Ross, a finisher in every Australian Ironman, progressing towards number 26. New Zealand's Garth Barfoot hasn't done as many Ironman races as Dave Ross, but at 75, this Auckland real estate director continues to make his mark. He's the oldest person in the field. Amelia Pearson led the women in the swim, but succumbed to the power of Carolyn Steffen on the bike. But still, she rides steadily and confidently in second place. In Ironman, cyclists have to maintain 12-metre gaps so they can't gain advantage from sitting on someone else's draft. Age grouper Ricky Jeffs is one of the many who fall foul of the rule along the way, having to serve a 5-minute penalty as a result. The whole episode captured by his onboard bike camera. Approaching her transition into the run, the athlete known as Zina, or the Swiss Miss, looks set for her first Ironman victory. That is, if she can get through the marathon ahead.
I always say it's just 3 hours to go. I'm not talking to me about a marathon, because that's just crazy to do a marathon after 180k on the bike. I'm just always talking about it's just another 3 hours to go. You did already 6, so it's just 3 to go, and then you're done, and then just start running and hope to get in a good speed, and yeah.
He hasn't run for several weeks because of an injury to his left foot, but running smoothly past the names of previous Ironman competitors on Port Macquarie's famous breakwater, Pete Jacobs continues to look strong in the K-Swiss run leg. Behind him, Patrick Vinay has only reduced his 11-minute deficit by 40 seconds. Unless Jacobs stops, it seems like an impossible task.
I knew his strategy was to swim very fast and to ride very fast, because he wasn't sure of his marathon, because he had a little injury on his foot. But when I started to run, I had 11 minutes. I was 11 minutes behind, and it was very difficult. I knew it would be very difficult after.
As expected, Vinay had passed Mitch Anderson. The Melbourne doctor, competing as an age grouper, had recorded the fastest bike split, but now seemed to be paying the price for it. Behind him, the veteran Jason Shortus was carving through the field. He'd come off the bike back in about 6th place, but now he was the hunter, picking off those ahead of him one by one. Mitch Anderson was in his sights, along with outright third.
The beauty of Ironman is that if you're patient and you just keep going, the odds are you actually have not a bad race. I knew that the guys were down the road. I knew that Pete was way off in front in his own little race. But I also knew that there were guys in front of me that I could potentially run down if I was just if I had a go, if I just didn't give up and kept ploughing away at it, and so that's what I did.
Courtney Ogden's race had been punctuated by a couple of punctures on the bike. He actually rode the last few kilometres with a flat front tyre, dropping out of the top 10. But now he was working hard to regain places, running strongly. Less than 4 hours after starting in the race within a race, Tasmanian Joe Gambles approaches the finish line of the 70.3 for another addition to an impressive resume. He was followed home by local athlete Tim Burkle and New Zealand's most accomplished Ironman, Cameron Brown. The first woman competitor to finish was another Kiwi, Joanna Lawn, in 4 hours 29. Into transition in the Ironman was Kane Towns, following in his father's footsteps. His time of 5 hours 20 on the bike was very respectable. Now came the uncertainty. He'd never run more than 35 kilometres before. She had been maintaining a fierce pace in the women's event, but now Switzerland's Caroline Steffen appears to be in some trouble. The confident stride replaced by an uncertain walk. The problem was severe inflammation of the heel, plantar fasciitis.
I wasn't sure if I can keep going or if I should pull out. But then I remember actually I maybe should finish this race. I'm already in the middle of the run. It's just 20k to go. And just the crowd and all the age group started cheering for me and just say, oh, come on, you can do it. Just 20k to go. And they pushed me really hard. I thought, oh, I can't pull out. I have to. Even if I walk just the last 20k, I want to finish this race. So I keep going, but yeah, between K20 and 30, it was something between walking and try to run again, step on my foot, and I realized I can't run like that. So I started running just on the outside of my right foot. Yeah, it works pretty good. It was very slow and just shuffling for the last 15k.
As luck would have it, Pete Jacobs was also having foot trouble. He would find out later he had a stress fracture, but right now, his first Ironman win beckoned, and he was desperate to hang on and stay in front of Patrick Vinay.
The foot was starting to be quite sore in those last 10 or 12 Ks. It was feeling quite bruised. I was trying to change my stride a little bit to allow for it and run with a very bad heel strike kind of stride, but that obviously was impacting onto my quads because it's in the forefoot where it's bruised. I was just trying to take some pressure off that. So I knew I had it if I could just keep a pace and keep a rhythm and just stay, at a reasonable pace of in the 4 minutes somethings.
Just a couple of kilometres from the finish, among the 70.3 athletes, Jacob spots his wife Jamie and limps across for a brief hug and kiss and an exchange of encouragement. As he ran on, a big smile lighting up his face, his stride lengthened once again, as if he was revitalised by the encounter. He's been out on the road cycling for more than 7 hours, and with a marathon ahead, 61-year-old schoolteacher Dave Ross is not in any hurry. In every Australian Ironman, he's been a starter and a finisher. Now on number 26, he knows what it takes. 71-year-old Ken Murtagh, a renowned structural engineer from Canberra, has also developed quite a reputation in Ironman. He continues to defy the years. And so too does Garth Barfoot, the oldest competitor in Ironman Australia, still riding strongly and nearing his final transition. He has led from start to finish. And despite stress fractures in his left foot, for the first time, Pete Jacobs is about to experience the joy of being an Ironman champion.
There he is, your 2011 Urban Hotel Group Ironman Australia champion, Mr. Pete Jacobs! Yeah! Pete Jacobs, you are an Ironman champion!
Finish shoot was just incredible. I'd had such amazing support the entire race that I knew that people really wanted me to win. I knew that I had the support of all the Australians and everyone else as well. So it was a fantastic feeling down the finish shoot to high five everyone, take my time, and just soak it all in on the finish line as well. It was just an incredible feeling.
He made up 5 minutes on the run, but in the end, it was a bridge too far for Namia's Patrick Vinay, just falling short of a 5th consecutive win in this event.
Patrick Vinay, second place today here at Hotel Group Ironman Australia Triathlon.
In 3rd place was 41-year-old Jason Shortus, showing the younger pros he can't ever be discounted over this distance. Scotland's Scott Naedley and Western Australia's Courtney Ogden rounded out the top 5, with Mitch Anderson fading a little at the end to come in 7th. Out on the run course, American Dave Orlowski was just coming to terms with the marathon.
I think after the bike ride, the 1,200 kilometers from Melbourne is finally catching up to me. So just going to enjoy the people and enjoy the day. I ran into my buddy Brock, who I did the ride for and stuff, and told him I'm going to make it. Him and I are going to cross the finish line at some point. We're just going to have a great day and love it out here. The rain stopped. Can't say more. So see you guys out here.
She had dominated throughout the day, and despite losing time with punctures, and despite the stabbing pain of plantar fasciitis in her heel, Carolyn Steffen has her first Ironman victory, and a hard-fought one at that.
Ironman Australia champion, Caroline Steffen!
The feeling of elation and relief subdued by the pain in her foot as she was helped from the finish podium. For most of the day, she's run in the knowledge that 2nd place is probably the best result she can expect. And that is how it unfolded for Amelia Pearson, 8.5 minutes behind the Swiss Miss. In every Ironman, there are really 2 races. The elite athletes who will complete the distance in under 10 hours, and the age groupers who will take anything up to 17 hours to finish. They embody the real spirit of Ironman. The determination to win the battle over fatiguing muscles, no matter how long it takes. Even the elite, like Dr. Mitch Anderson, hold them in awe.
All power to everyone who gets across the finish line or attempts to get across the finish line. As a single day event, it's the toughest test of endurance on the planet, there's no doubt. And the people rolling around here are the fittest people in Australia. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But also the toughest mentally, to get your body to cope with such an extreme exercise stress and trying to eat and drink all the calories that you need to put in. It's an incredible stress on your body. So the people who get across the finish line, no matter what their time, are the toughest athletes going around in Australia.
For first-timer Kane Towns running into the finish chute in memory of his father, blind athlete Ched, it was hard to hold back the tears. He had felt his father's presence with him all day and now had experienced the elation of an Ironman finish as well. His time was excellent, around 10.5 hours. But for him, there's more to do.
This is the first of many. My campaign's to get that Ironman tattoo, and the only way I get that is to finish Hawaii. So at the moment, I'm not fast enough to qualify, so I might have to wait for an age group later on. But the old man didn't get till he was, I think he might have been 50-something, so I've got plenty of time. So, yeah, this is the first of many Ironmans.
1, 2, 3. All right, ready, set, go.
Dave Olarski spent the run soaking it all in, his fatigue put aside.
A little over 1 lap to go, so we're gonna get there. Got a little boy waiting for me at the finish line, and it's pretty darn special to me. He got me all the way here from Melbourne and got me all the way through this Ironman today, so I'm in good spirits.
As you'd expect, his time wasn't as good as it was 33 years ago in the first ever Ironman, but that mattered little. Just participating for him is what it was all about. And then there was Dave Ross, making it a perfect 26 finishes, 1 for every Ironman Australia. New Zealand businessman Garth Barfoot, at 75, was the oldest athlete taking part, but he wasn't the last one to cross the line. And nor was Canberra's Ken Murtagh, whose main concern was that he ran straight and upright through the finish, so that he wouldn't cop a serve from his wife afterwards. The atmosphere around the finish is festive, and the crowd stays on to cheer them all home, every last one of them. More than 1,000 finishers in Ironman Australia, more than 1,000 winners.